We heard earlier in the testimony from Ms. Mulholland, she said the problem isn't inadequate credit, it's inadequate income. And so I wonder, from the folks at Acorn Canada that are with us, I know you've been wonderful advocates for the Canada Disability Benefit, because you recognize that 40% of those living in poverty are people living with disabilities. Folks living with disabilities have been disproportionately living in poverty for far too long, and that this disability benefit is meant to be a really critical measure to start to make progress on reducing legislated poverty for people with disabilities. And so recognizing, if you take a step back, that this conversation isn't just about the credit issue, but about inadequate income for people living in poverty, I wonder if Ms. Jam and or Ms. Borden, if you'd like to comment on Acorn's view on how important it is for our Parliament and this government to make progress on funding the Canada Disability Benefit.
Thank you, MP Morris. I think really well put. It's not. It's definitely connected with lack of, I would say, living wage. Because a lot of people with disabilities are forced into deep poverty because of lack, very inadequate or abysmal supports that we see from provinces, and that's exactly why there is a push for federal Canada Disability Benefit, and we are glad that that's moving forward. It's really lack of living wage that pushes people into resorting to predatory loan products, and also lack of fair credit alternatives. And it's really a market failure, is what we believe, because if the market was working perfectly, we wouldn't have seen this to happen. We need government intervention in this space, and in fact more government intervention to solve this crisis that we are in today.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Jam. And of course, when it comes to the Canada Disability Benefit, what we've seen is a piece of legislation get passed. However, regulations that have been very slow, very unclear on the outcome of that regulatory process. A minister who has now said that the benefit might not be rolled out until June of 2025. All of this slowdown while Canadians with disabilities continue to live in legislated poverty. We know this Parliament can move with urgency when it sees a crisis. There's clearly a crisis here for folks in my community and across the country who continue to live in poverty, and a very clear intervention that could make progress to reduce that. Ideally could have gone further if we would have been able to expand the legislation to include people over the age of 65. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Is there anything that Ms. Borden or Ms. Jam you'd like to add in terms of what you want to see from MPs in the lead up to Budget 2024 when it comes to addressing this inadequate income issue that is really the bigger overlying issue when it comes to the study that this committee is in the midst of? Looking at the chair, I think in a minute or...
We've got another minute and a bit, and this will be kind of the final questions.
Great. So kind of a final thought to you both as it relates to the need for Parliament to be expedient when it comes to not just talking about critical income interventions like the Canada Disability Benefit, but in fact funding them and making sure that it ends up in the bank accounts of people living with disabilities across the country.
Well, we fully support this move, and we hope that the government can act fast and also ensure that it actually promises a living wage and not just the kind of assistance that we see across provinces, which is actually pushing persons with disabilities into deeper poverty.
Yeah, and thank you again, Ms. Jam, for making sure the adequacy, what you've mentioned a few times, it's not just about funding the benefit, but ensuring that the benefit ends up bringing people above the poverty line. That adequacy has come through from Acorn and your members across the country throughout this advocacy, and I'd be remiss if to not also share about the really critical testimony that people with disabilities have been providing for many years to push for this benefit to come to fruition, and certainly hope that this conversation helps to be a part of that. Thank you.